Certainly, in seeking a new site, car parking is, and Colin will back me up on this, I'm sure, it is very important in planning terms. And it is very specific to the authority and to the location. So the particular authority may operate a very rigid standard on the number of car parking spaces. Sometimes it's done on the number of seats in the main space. Other times it's done on square meterage, square footage of the building. And those standards range and vary considerably between authorities. You can generally find that out from local authority websites, looking at their planning policies, looking at particularly their car parking policies. But it is different in different locations. And the actual location within that authority is also critical. So if you're, for example, in a very much developed area where there really is literally little or no car parking around, then you would be more expected to make some provision yourselves on site for parking. However, many developments do look at the broader picture and are able to negotiate with planners the use of other car parks, perhaps that are available, not as busy at the time when you need it to be so busy, and so on. Public transport, and in fact, many applications result in the need for a transport plan to be developed by the applicant to really demonstrate how people are going to travel to the building throughout the week. So there's no one rigid fixed answer to this, actually, in terms of number of cars, and the whole transport policy needs to be looked at really for using the site and for getting consent. So it's a very site-specific thing. Okay.
Yes, Colin.
Andrew's absolutely right, but in general terms, just to help you a bit further, it's not meant to be a pun. The direction of travel that the successive governments have entered into over the last few years is to try and limit the reliance on the private car and create a modal shift towards public and other means of transport. And that is demonstrated in the fact that parking standards are now no longer minimum standards, they're maximum standards. So you have to provide up to a certain level rather than provide from a certain level upwards. What Andrew says is right. A lot depends on the geographic location of your new site and how accessible it will be for other forms of transport. So if, for example, you're in a town centre location within reasonable, say, 10 minutes walking distance of a railway station, bus stops where there's lots of accessibility to other places around, then there's a very strong argument there for limiting the amount of car parking that you should provide. If you're on the edge of town or in the middle of nowhere, no buses or other public transport networks, then the council will expect a greater number of car parking spaces. So it used to be a simple equation. You have, say, 100 seats. The council standard is a minimum of 1 per 10 seats. So you divide one by the other and you have to provide 10 parking spaces. It's no longer that simple. It's a bit more sophisticated, which is bad in the sense it means you've got to think about it a bit more, but it's good in the sense it gives you an opportunity to negotiate with the council over what you should be providing, and also to explore different ways of people getting to church, and that means you have to think about how your church responds to people who don't have cars, or elderly people or infirm people and so on.
So it may be, in our position, we need to understand the council better to be able to negotiate with the developers.
Yes.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Yes.
May I just issue a word of warning? In Redditch, there is a United Home Church on the 4th floor of a shopping centre, which you reach by a lift that smells very unpleasant, or by a staircase which has got very dark brown tiles all the way up it. And I'm sure that the developers led that redevelopment of a church that was a Victorian church on the ground floor, the street level. Do be careful when you're dealing with developers to retain control of what is rightfully yours in every way.
Yeah,
because otherwise it'll be tears before bed, I suspect.